Hello, everyone. My name is Marcy White, and in the next few minutes, I will explain my research purpose and present my research question. Briefly, I will summarize the theoretical framework and my unit of analysis and how both align with the research purpose and questions. Lastly, I will introduce my methodology and explain how it fits within and also relates to my theoretical framework and my research question and purpose. Before I discuss my research in greater detail, I would like to briefly situate my interest in this topic within my current professional role. Some of you may know I currently serve as a clinical supervisor working with aspiring teachers in higher education, where I mentor and support teacher candidates as they transition from students to educators. In this role, I have the opportunity to observe how pre-service teachers grapple with the questions of equity, justice, and responsibility in real classroom context. These experiences have made me increasingly interested in how teacher preparation programs shape not only instructional practice, but also the professional identities and values that aspiring teachers carry into the profession. This research is meaningful to me because I witnessed firsthand the moments when teacher candidates begin to critically reflect on their beliefs about teaching, learning, and social responsibility. As they engage with ideas related to social justice pedagogy, many begin to reconsider what it means to be an educator and how their work can contribute to more equitable learning environments. My study grows out of these observations and seeks to better understand how engagement with social justice pedagogy influences the professional identity development of aspiring teachers as adult learners in higher education. Therefore, my research question is, how does social justice pedagogy shape the professional identity of aspiring teachers as adult learners in higher education? At the center of this study is the idea that teacher identity is not fixed. Rather, it is dynamic, it's negotiated, and it's shaped through experiences, learning environments, and broader social context. Teacher preparation programs play a critical role in shaping how aspiring teachers understand their responsibilities, values, and roles as educators. Here, briefly, I would like to make the distinction between an aspiring teacher and a pre service teacher. An aspiring teacher is someone who intends or hopes to become a teacher, but may not yet be formally enrolled in a teacher preparation program. On the other hand, a pre service teacher refers specifically to someone who is currently enrolled in a formal teacher education or certification program and is actively preparing to become a licensed teacher. Why this distinction really matters in my research is because teacher identity development, scholars sometimes prefer to use the term aspiring teacher because it captures the process of becoming, including how individuals begin to see themselves as teachers before or during formal preparation. This language can highlight identity formation rather than just program status. Frere's work with critical pedagogy positions education as a space for critical consciousness, dialogue, and transformation rather than simply the transmission of knowledge. Education is a site of struggle, resistance, and transformation with the emphasis on praxis, which involves not only reflection but also action. Embedded in this framework is also the civic engagement as an ethical responsibility and not just an add on. I mentioned that because I'm also considering a sub question that deals with community engagement, but I haven't fleshed that out thoroughly. In addition to critical pedagogy, my study draws on mid level theoretical frameworks, including teacher identity theory and adult learning theory. Teacher identity scholarship conceptualizes identity as becoming, something that evolves through practice and experience. Scholars such as J. Sachs argues that professional identity is open, negotiated, and shaped through participation in professional contexts. In this case, it would be their teacher preparation program and their place of clinical practice. To further support this concept of teacher identity, I will also draw upon the work of Sean Lazard, John Jean Clarendon, and Marilyn Cochran Smith. Because aspiring teachers in preparation programs are also adult learners, this study will incorporate adult learning theory, which emphasizes that adult learners bring prior experiences, their values, and identities into the learning process. And these experiences shape how they interpret new knowledge and how they construct meaning from educational experiences. Lastly, and more importantly, within teacher education, social justice pedagogy builds on these principles by encouraging aspiring teachers to critically examine issues such as inequity, representation, and access in schools. Through this lens, teaching becomes both an intellectual and ethical practice where educators are responsible not only for delivering content but also for challenging systemic injustices that affect students and their communities. To explore these processes of identity development, I have selected critical narrative inquiry as the methodology on which to base my research study. Narrative inquiry views storytelling as a legitimate form of knowledge production. Rather than focusing only on observable behaviors or outcomes, narrative inquiry examines how individuals make meaning of their experiences through stories. This methodology is particularly well suited for my research question because professional identity development occurs through reflection on lived experiences. Narrative inquiry allows participants to describe moments in their teacher preparation journey where social justice pedagogy influenced or not how they see themselves as educators. I want to note that my approach is specifically critical narrative inquiry, which examines how personal stories are situated within broader systems of power, ideology, and institutional practices. Through storytelling, participants reveal how they interpret, negotiate, resist, or internalize social justice pedagogy in their experiences within the teacher education program. In my study, the unit of analysis or the group that my research centers on are the aspiring teachers. The data I intend to collect are the lived experiences and narratives of aspiring teachers engaged in teacher preparation programs. These narratives serve as a primary source of the data for understanding how identity is constructed or reshaped through engagement with social justice pedagogy. Rather than treating professional identity as something that is fixed or measurable at a single point of time, my study views identity as something that develops and evolves over time. As aspiring teachers move through their teacher preparation programs, they are constantly, or I should say, they should constantly reflect on what they are learning, comparing new ideas with their previous beliefs, and reconsidering what it means to be an educator. This process often involves moments of questioning, growth, and sometimes tension as they negotiate their values, experiences, and responsibilities within the profession. Higher education environments, whether through coursework, discussions, field experiences, or simply the exposure to social justice pedagogy, create spaces where these reflections should occur. In this way, professional identity is not simply an outcome of teacher preparation, but a continuous process of learning, interpreting experiences, and constructing meaning about who one is becoming as a teacher. In conclusion, my study investigates and explores how social justice pedagogy influences the professional identity development of aspiring teachers as adult learners in the higher ed context. Grounded in the work of Freire, critical pedagogy, and is also informed by teacher identity theory and adult learning theory. My study positions identity as non static. It's the process of becoming that is shaped by the aspiring teacher's educational experiences and social context. Using critical narrative inquiry, my research will explore, analyze the stories of these aspiring teachers to better understand how they interpret, negotiate, and internalize justice oriented pedagogy. Ultimately, it is my hope that my research can contribute to conversations about how teacher education programs, teacher preparation programs, can cultivate reflective, critically conscious, and socially just educators. I thank you all for listening.